So that definitely might be very interesting that keeping on this definitely that it's a might not actually selfly show that the money that gone into the earlier had given to that had like the band location to that the band definitely might be very interesting that including on there. Definitely might be the source for like this okay everyone right now not being concerned at all about like basically uh, about like the need for like money to buy the drugs from like the city of like because like make the money belong to that phone so that's like yeah that person might be at like this okay like sufficient uh might be like the case definitely not different and definitely I'm different that this okay while they makes it make it feel like a problem like so different for like this okay handing out like bit by bit of like that money to like phone and silver while pretending to be like has it like Mizuke has like proved Mizuke's purpose in like playing like the running game so far like Mizuke haven't like earned all that money and basically Mizuke that basically handing out bits of that money to say that gone into the as like a reward for the gone into the like progress so far in like in like as to like how they perform in like with the training so far. It's like doing the scenario like it's like and like okay, delivering buying all the best spent up at like Masadora for substance while like the little amount of money which I'm significant amount that would be given to like gone into the like and gone into the and being to like by like the average level now spent up like Masadora is like the initial scenario that I'm about to bring up. So like league night is very interesting right now that the band is getting like going to the earlier of the like the might have been like in actuality might have been like running game players who might have been taking it as like an NPC player as like banded NPC players as like a strategy to like steal money and like they might have been actually not just being like the real bandits at all. Might be the cases definitely not primary school that so like the current NP camp through which like gone to Lua and this get right now path through might be like the actual original bandit camp might be like the given premise. So like the bandits might have like spotted like the incoming gone to Lua and to get from a distance and might have totally hidden themselves while like they might have already set up like the traps for like any incoming individual players who will be passing through that area. So like not really right now a person like the band might be steadily hiding and waiting for like the group of like going to Lua and to get to like fall from the trap with like now Jeremy. So yeah, definitely it's like the band might be these bandits like these often bands might be maybe high level players so like so I think it might have been Pisuke and that might have been able to extend the presence of that surveillance even from the distance might have been like the case that human creation. So that the so looking for like an instance scenario where like Conan Silva about it for like the process by like the man but like and that was just like and then so different that it being Pisuke that would be something Conan Silva because like Pisuke would have probably be able to like the practice like the scenario that is super different and not the so that definitely my tutorial different right now as for like or basically initially by following that and Silva like basically like one of the something like that following of the stopping after like one and Silva had gone through like had reached like that bandit like location and given up like that mind and that then that a delay in that is okay rejoining that continuing that following up that following it and right now at present like after passing through that empty empty camp that basically right now when going into and place like Masadora once again being that delay in that this okay rejoining that one and to might be that due to that this okay by passing through that empty camp that most likely having easily figured that the substance camp of like the band might be the case and like this again might have easily seen that the stealthy trap set by the bandits so that all the bandits in like that empty camp like naturally like hiding in like maybe like the bushes like totally basically waiting and hoping for like the group of like going to go and to get like fall of that trap. Um, so that might have been the case. So what the Sutan might have been Sutan might have precisely in that stepped in that phone and Silva move such a direction to precisely avoid like the trap set by like the bandits might have been like the case definitely and while the Sutan might have steadily stayed back at that kind location close to that empty camp and might have straight away with that up system While Ron and Kilwa might have been like busy talking to each other and might have been running ahead like Kusuke might have steadily and quickly might have like totally like fought all the bandits that were hiding and might have defeated them and might have like looked at from next the bandits before and like might have before reaching Masadora might have been the missions might be the reason for like Gon and Killua now currently at like Masadora and like once again they are saying that delay for like Kusuke for like to join up with like Gon and Killua at like Masadora might be due to push reasons that leave them great. As well as like Bisuke, even while like God and Sudua and Bisuke don't have that urgency of like basically wanting needing money to like buy the spell cards like will Bisuke like on month at like Nasadora like spending money on like basically on glamour. Well, people to like Bisuke, expecting to like run into that empty camp, which might be a complimentary band, the urban band camp, and basically that they unexpectedly Bisuke like looting and getting all that money, which like Bisuke might have felt would be more than enough for like Bisuke to like for herself to like steadily by all the most useful and that best spell that had like Matador all for herself uh, that extent of money. So like Bisuke might have totally decided to like spend that extra money on Lana. Might have been what I might have never like that way, consumer the friends and sitting on the that Busuke while looking from like the original plans might have wanted to really for a whole lot of black money than like Busuke might have expected of the new method. So like Busuke right now at present might be resource skill off on the land that might be the reason for like Busuke right now straight away like spending before even buying like spell cards like uh instead of that like Busuke that's straight away like spending money on like glamour as well as like basically even from like the department store like and like basically spending money on buying all sorts of different kind of other stuff except for like credit cards like scenario variable and some of different or confidence of which get to like totally that reflected in the scenario that and the scenario where that happens on some different movies like the uh which was the group of like which get going to like by sheer coincidence like running into like the final remember like the scenario that I'm going and at that point I'm the super interesting the final members even though like due to like the whole Kurapika situation Kurapika situation like definitely even while like the final members won't be planning on like taking off like neither one or Killua like still like the final members like threatening the group of like Gon Killua and this okay to like give up all the money that they have. It's like the scenario that I'm going and when those friends to be at that point it would be the group of like things Fate as well as like Shal or topic as well as like Marty all together while on the other hand it will be just like Don Killua and like Suzuki. So like I'm definitely like like Fate and like things like not like making that correct and like definitely forcing like the group of that Don Killua and that Suzuki to like totally give up like all like the money that they Suzuki will be having in her pocket and like scenario that I'm looking for and on the and like at that point I'm looking like the kind of members like mocking like because of John Kilo and like this okay and this new leading just like that with like the scenario that I'm whispering at that point I'm whispering like it's okay feeling extremely disappointed while Don and well as Kilua and so different especially Kilua being extremely frustrated due to and this case like for confidence resulting in like them upon the depression even by then would have got like not even a single self from like or as like this scenario that and but it also for that it also be like social factor like this being forced to like give up all the money in like the profession to like the financial members at that point is like the scenario that I'm because like on the other hand like at like the in the side of like the financial group like they would have got like all that cards from like that's spell cards best and powerful spell cards of Masadora as well as like so far in that journey as well all the powerful spell cards that um, they would have like stored and and attain like all of that would be a great extent of like presence of like powerful spell cards would be in like the person already with like the final group while they will be running into like one killer and yes like it's an arc that I'm looking for so like this being a huge factor like basically this is being forced to like give up land give up all the money in fact presidents like the scenario that I'm looking and at that point of view that Kimlas will get extremely frustrated and anxious at like Busuke and arranging it like Busuke, blaming Busuke for like basically not prioritizing like the spell cards and had they like prioritizing spell cards and had they bought like this most the spell cards from that Masadora straight away, then like during that encounter with like the final like they could have maybe fought and won against like the final group using those spell cards. And so like they will have lost like all that money in that question. India and plans like preparing at that point for like seeing the enraged and frustrated below like only shouting at and insecure basically like the scenario that I'm looking all over and creating. So like that lemon and right now that maybe like that critical situation of person might be that if you get well and thoroughly known like the exact location of like the exact actual shot at like Masadora where that the best spell cards are and yet like consciously to the might have hidden that crucial information from Gon and Killua and instead might have taken them to perfectly different department store where like all the non-rare spell cards alone might be protected. And that way to like constantly trick Gon and Killua into thinking that like there aren't any like powerful spell cards at like Masadora at like the magic city itself of like Masadora in that way to have that chronic to totally focusing on like the training rather than feeling at least of thing of that they are adjusting all this stuff to self that like that on might be what that is okay might be right now through all this lab recording this like some content in this game right now might be low to that chronic to recurrent manipulation which like comes again might be right now into that chronic to might be the case definitely so that like once like chronic to will be focusing on the training alone and putting everything into their training and once that wanting to go be tired by the time they have completed like their trains. Only at that point, for like if the case to lack pretty lack that crucial information that about like they're actually existing lack power spell card at like the Aurora. And only once like the training would be over and this new like wanting to go be thoroughly would have given the everything into the training and like the training would be completed. Only at that point for the Suke to like take wanting to do to like the actual location within like Masadora where like the powerful spell cards will be so that like they see with like the growth of like Donna Kidwa and power up here of like Donna Kidwa will be gaining through like the training will be giving uh, and to couple it with like the powerful spell card that like they would be attaining at that point. Might be another like Suzuki might be planning, but like I'm preparing into the scenario to be like by the time Suzuki is like training of like Donna Kidwa would be over and gone by then like gone into being like subscribed Suzuki breaking this last 1 years of like the powerful spell cards actually to pick at like Masadora and like at that point like while like Chidor will be getting angry at like Suzuki still with the brain like Chidor and Don like being excited to like need to then attain all the powerful spell cards from Masadora. Um, and that way while Suzuki going into all the like slightly going up to like Masadora to that actual shop where like the bathroom skill has to be that so they bring at that one self preparing for like maybe like the final pro exiting out of that shop is like the scenario that that way like running to like the final pro happening and like the final pro with all of the for spell cards like will be intimidating person that is okay for them to like give up all of their money. I was like looking at that I was for and that way that according to my friends in that way that this okay being without any skill cards like any powerful skill cards like even this okay as well being forced to like give up all of their money to like the group of members and that is like and like at that point like you are getting senior ratio as like okay, it's like given the scenario that I'm going to bring up the so like minimum friends right now is like on top of like the shower like this okay made out from that Masadora from the shop at like Masadora like this okay made of be also got like spell trap song like this that huge board made of like some sort of like unique material that might be extremely even way more hard than like the usual bowls might be like the case limit. So such a spell card like a like this okay without like chronically finding out like night of the three bond and it might be that huge and intensely hard like both of that like bond right now might have hit the will get this like shovel that hard session which like bond can't break through. So this like shovel might be this exact spell card or as part of like the base training that might be like the case definitely not friend. So according to my friend like breaking of that unique material containing that huge whole spell card uh, containing both might be like the final test in like the current training section of like basically to like going to that will be like the final steps. So like I'm looking like going to studying that way to like eventually that will be able to taking days for like going to actually be able to like break succeed in like finding breaking that like both spell card of that board like in the scenario that I'm in. And once like going to would be done with that like I'm like the current training of that physical has given going to would be painting at that board and like then physical taking going to that actually to buy the actual spell cards about like the in the scenario that I'm sitting on the so like actually my secondary and confront right now is that is the because like current training might be to like since like the spell cards have like Masadora might be seriously to a certain extent would be greatly powerful that can do different episodes plan through this like training of like one of the like the shovel might be to like exactly like the and then powers right now spreading to like the shovel like it might be for like one antidote to be able to like use the with spell card by spreading that and then or into like the spell card while using that spell card to like maybe like uh, double like the power of like the spell card. Uh, might be definitely uh, might have been definitely this case plan definitely through this like a training for Nigeria definitely might be very interesting right. Yes, so like definitely my book very interesting right now that like, in like the world of interest understanding that that might be the that mountain is kind of like an extremely dangerous location where like there might make this like all sorts of extremely powerful monster that exists and it might be only for them to go the because like it might be such extremely challenging kind of like locations um where like maybe more human who might have gone the might have like returns might be along the lines of like the state that like location might be having. So like even from a young age like we might have heard of this like things of extremely dangerous like place or mountainous place and like again even from a young age might have had like set up as this like ultimate source uh to go up there and to like conquer that place. Might have been like the case in the so definitely I'm looking for that this might be that ultimate goal of that game with that game or wouldn't reveal I think that didn't reveal to like unmade that you know bring. So like the league wants not of like unmade or destroy thing that maybe she too might have had that very same goal and this might have been what like might have brought as well as like one's mother like this close up and it was then getting married and everything might have been what might have been the case like this in the neuro so like eventually that then along with like the friends like collecting collecting and like and I believe as well as like once mother might have entered like the without the of the group like might have entered like the 100% together and might have had their NN training as well together. Might have been like a case of prevention. And eventually, through like the progress and like the hands of itself, like I'm still different like exactly like how John's got a lot of friends like James as well as like one's mother of well, like them both as well might have got a lot of friends. Might have been like a case of women criminals. So like that's I feel like a condiment to like James as well as one's mother as well as that Jeff friendship gang like after they might have like completed like the NN test as well like then like and they might have maybe after them like they might have done a bit more of training and like they might have as like a group might have set off to conquer this like extremely dangerous that nowadays place that needs what might have been what might have happened with Lincoln training and like while attempting to like conquer that sooner dangerous nowadays place skill but like also for like exceptionally powerful and dangerous like monsters and everything that along in the attempt to like conquer that mountain like eventually the like in the friendship gang like and different like a bunch of them might have gotten taken out in the process to the even anything. And usually I'm different like game as well as once another along with like some other friends of that might have made it to the very top and like they are like they might have found some sort of like an extremely rare and extremely powerful item which all these monsters might have been guarded, might have been like produced, and that unique item might have possess like such power that basically the build up of that item might contain like the power, might be able to like the power in that will in that like the world of like the production and world might be like the case that we were created. So like Jin might have after like realizing that the finding this item and like realizing it's like ultimate power so the like game might have felt that actual fear of like about which have like eventually at some point in like the future like this item falling into like the wrong hands of like any villanistic person like basically that would be like the end of like the word of conversion. As you know, it would be along the lines like King might have had that approach, yeah. King and his like friends might have had that approach, yeah. So like maybe some of the King friends might have told King to like leave that item there, and basically that thing might be or thing and that such a scenario might definitely not happen. Might be along the lines maybe a few of the King friends might have told King, but like King might have been feeling strongly that basically for them to like totally hide that item to ensure to like hide that item and will to ensure that absolutely and no villains take force in like the board ever gets that and something like that item. Maybe along the line like Jin might have strongly decided to set minimum parameters. So like that way I can define that and Jin along the line not as well as like in front my remaining funds might have be returned from like the novel and like they might have not to like hide that ultimate power of the item that they might have that they might have like match to create this like great island game the minimum position might have been around this time that like might have been born as well. Might have been like the minimum friend. So like they might have like the actual reason for like the creation of like world of Great Island and like the game of like Great Island of the Korean world. Like all might be to like actually hide the like extremely powerful items within like the Great Island game while creating like the Great Island game world to be uh, reflecting and like one's mother as well as like Japan's might have together creating like the it one's mother as well might have been part of like game and things like through that creator like creator you might be like the everything on the so like to hide that item might to ensure that like no realistic force will ever be able to get hold of that item might be along the lines of like with the intent like they might have created like the extremely difficult and challenging world of the career and might have been like the case that never fit. So like within like the three pocket items as well as like the designated pocket items that existing within like the dining game. Like this like the single item which might be like this which might contain like power to make the field of like the role of the vendor different to world like this that item might be not present among like the list of like the items in like the free pocket as well as like the designated pockets uh, might be like within like the great engine might game world might be like the case technical frames. So like it might be hidden somewhere or like it might be King himself that might be holding on that might have decided to like hold on to that item. Um, until eventually this like he will be like passing it down to his like descendant. Might be along the line that King might have also cleared and maybe might have played that absolute confidence in this no matter that even with like King definitely having that security and thing of like this not being there for like one like still King might have still deep down might have also at the same time might have hope of like the of like the from King's perspective as like the best case scenario which like they are in medicine and like basically gone eventually like deciding to like such and like showing up entering into like the great Iron game and getting stronger by fighting this way through like great Iron game and fighting him and so that like at that point like King could like totally hand over and transform that powerful extremely powerful item to like one so that like basically that they eventually Bond will take over and eventually like the future like Bond dependent will be going to like pass it over this item in like the computer to be selected from that and that way for like this like item to like hopefully always remain protected in good hands might be along the lines with this Indian like the world of Great Island might have been created. Certainly was very ambitious. So certainly somewhere along the way like I'm looking like the information this crucial information might have gotten leaked uh, might have been what might have happened simply insurance. So like a villain, an extremely powerful like realistic force thing within like the conversion board might have gotten hold of like this crucial information about like this like extremely powerful item in like the possession of like Link might have been like the definitely on the road and like once like Link might have found out about like the information having leaked like at that point might be when like King and his like team while trying to like escape that maybe it might be at that point that like one mother might have gotten taken out by this like army of like lunatic force might have been like the case that remember the episode. So King so like basically handing over one to like unmeter and all this like happening and like King straight away like might be since then even though the person might be actually hiding within like the Great Island game with that powerful item. Like keep that item safe from like the enemy forces as well. So also with that force that going will eventually be entering like career game and progressing like career game going to be by the time going will be making it towards like king might be only hoping that going would have surpassed even king so that like basically either reach like the exact level of like strength of that game or like link might be hoping for like and want to like even surpass game which will be something that king will be taking it with that aspect right the Lehman vision. So that once like that reunion would be happening between like father and son like King and Don like at that point for like King he like only pass on that power and through the item to for might be definitely King left plan and everything might have been like the case definitely might have been very interesting. Luckily, ultimate Crimson Dawn is looking for like the scenario to be like by the time Bond will be completing like the great island game like and luckily and that way luckily I'm looking for Bond to like find a succeed in his goal and like reunite with like King. And at that point like King passing on this like crucial part of item to like Bond and definitely King at that point I'm saying we can not even telling Bond to like really to like was Bond to like take over. So like the job of like protecting this like crucial part of item and basically along with like King and basically so that for that remaining of their life, like the father and son, like John and James will like live their remaining life within like the career and in the end of the night, things will be at that point telling John, but like I'm the Catholic John disagreeing to that and why John telling assuring things that like John will definitely be ensuring to like keep that part like and will always remain safe in that constant and one would ensure that like the children's report would never see like that item while one would be ensuring that the thing one would also telling him that basically he doesn't want to unlike him like one doesn't want to like hide away within a game world from like children's report like one rather would like keep the powerful item close to like one and basically face like all those like villainous forces from like the outside world who had basically taken out like from like mother. And I think maybe and maybe when get revenge would be along the lines of the spring like gone would be telling King at that point it's like in the scenario that I'm looking to which like I'm selecting at that point would be taking and like I'm thinking that we have like some taken dialing in that and like gone along with like with that thought like that which leaving saying farewell to King and his year run back to like the real world, the living friends. And by then like I'm offering Navy, like the news about like Gon and Killua completing like the career writing game and that spreading all across like the real world. And basically that something in like the villains big focus like attention falling on like Gon and Killua. And that way like I'm like release like the villains big focus like targeting Gon and Killua and chasing nothing Gon and Killua. And that way like I'm actually going final conclusive showdown fight scenario where like I'm going like the reign of like Don Silva and Kurapika and Leo would all be by then like train and reach like new heights of like level and strength and like suddenly like the ultimate battle happening at that point and Liam like Don actually taking out like the realistic forces while keeping that powerful item active. So that's the good scenario that I'm looking at current. Okay, so that's definitely my secondary intention right now that like solely due to that Don being an enhancer effect like loading like Don like defenses as well as like attacks. That certainly might be having like way more potential than Killua's as well as like this is especially when and definitely in the case of this might actually be a conjure of who might have actually trained and reached like the point of like a special might have been like it is definitely so like definitely currently this again might be perspective certainly my friends. So like this case like folk attack like a definitely like one being able to like defend it better than Killua right now is like the scenario that I'm looking at the and then that to be such an absolute shock for like Killua is like the scenario that I'm looking at in like Killua's case like I'm looking at this case for attack like I'm looking at Killua struggling to that block it to a great extent when compared to don't block me without much struggle at all. Like the scenario that I'm looking for the training. So like the thing on preemption right now is that like exactly like paper so like I'm so different for like so she and Ken like while opposite like so and Ken makes contact on like opposite like she and Ken or like she or so make contact like I'm looking that for it to be like that similar effect as that of like of paper exactly like how so it's like advantages to paper as well as like about just like the food paper uh like I'm looking for like similar exact same effect like in that opposite collisions between like so she and Ken might actually exist, definitely might be real. And definitely I'm referring that definitely upper like can come to different definitely for like to get to that piece show and she to that one and to which like definitely with the scenario that I'm to the different and definitely with like both hands and to different like to get up teaching that like teaching one and to that use show and she and can in like the right combination between like both of their hands to fight from that going on. This is giving that range and just reflecting the scenario that I'm to the so that means still remember ambition as well like so the ring of like Don Chilua as well as like the get to that they run into like the panel break at like Masadora. Once they do once again the friend back to that Masadora like the scenario with the intent to like buy the actual car for spell cards like the scenario that I'm saying that name so the bring okay the scenario was like before they would be buying like spell cards like them running to like the panel break. The panel break will be behind all of the like car spell cards with them and I'm looking for the most like amazing fight event happening. Untuk different that Japan group initially untuk different that things like probably like thematic that don't kill and just give up all the spell cards as well as like the money. And also different that the three of them by then like this is case like extensive training like different by then like on until was like power levels would have reached like such levels that they won't be feeling that fear and intimidation that they used to have towards like panic at that point. Like the scenario that we and at that point I'm totally calling for like a fight totally and totally comforting for like to like totally that being like the lack of intimidation in like wrong and kill totally different things like totally being unable to like control its like rage and like different things deciding to like teach stuff and different maybe things like definitely due to like the situation with like Africa and like Flora like so different things deciding to like probably just teach them a lesson or else then take them out. But like I'm in that fight like I'm like things like getting blown away by uh, like by the then levels of like superior levels of strength of like one and Pilua. So it's like the scenario that I'm looking at. So like definitely at that point I was trying for killing us like maybe things and fate and hello like that would be fighting off against like one and Pilua at that point in front of like the remaining clans in the hands well that will give like the scenario that I'm looking at. So definitely one and Pilua trying like trying by initially like things and fate and like taking on like one and Pilua without using like the spell card and get like at the end of, at that point I'm looking like one and Pilua usually like dodging and blocking like the attack of that things and fate and with such absolute ease and that would be probably shocking and scary things and fate and like at that point then getting the sprite and like them pulling out the spell cards and trying to like use it to like to, and that way like possibly incarnation like gonna get like I'm going to like this is training like I'm gonna get still managing to like dots but slowly dots like the attack coming attacks from that the past spell cards of like things and fate and as well as like game scenario that I'm looking for and but and eventually as like the fight will service and discipline like shall as well as like the remaining and to the fight and it is really shocked at like growth and strength of like wanting to work and seeing this okay by the side like wanting to like from different like shall would be probably staring at like this okay because like shall would out of the figure that it needs definitely the presence of this okay that has like just like you see the like woman or like girls that has like made all by doubt brought about all this change and like great increase in strength of like Donna would be along the line like I'm different shall would be totally directed like this again definitely shall at that point will be definitely planning in his mind to like definitely eventually even if it's through stealth to like definitely to ensure to like take out this okay since like they can't take out that one and doing like that kind of situation like shall definitely planning in his mind to like definitely take out this okay definitely through so that's the stealth is definitely my brain to prevent like one and from getting any stronger pop like shall along with like the end up like the group of like the family members who are like currently at present uh, uh, present at like the career alligator for all of them to like work together and it is carefully take out it's okay then planning and that is like scenario that I'm looking over like I'm afraid of. So like on that point on the spring maybe for like the kind of steadily starting therefore steadily following on like the group of like one to go into the like doing the possible scenario that I'm looking for like I'm afraid. Yes, so like definitely much in the impression right now that is game as well as seen of like for level front of like myself was like by creating like the real island game world in like the real world like they might have seen created like using like bunch of them who we have and having like wonder abilities and still much to that like games like net ability and then type might be that of negative business and that way they might have access to like wonder and like so for the even so and not this thing but like a bunch of things when we created like for the driving games might all have this access to conjure of net type like chef especially my brain but so luckily that using like the counter powers like I'm just like um using the coins of powers like I'm looking like king and this like front might out of the to definitely prevent like any Rear Island game player who figures out that like Rear Island is like the location in like the real world and attempts to like escape for like that escape to is impossible. Like I'm the suffering that we king as well as like his friends the actual original creators of like Rear Island game might have only put in a lot of the true extent of like land powers into placing like NPC guards like extremely powerful NPC guards on like all corner areas of like the surrounding areas of like the like the running game as like that absolute barrier to lack of lead badly weaken and prevent like any of like the players to attempt to like escape from like the running game without playing according to like the rules of the running game. Might be along the lines of the different like game answers like front like the content creators like might have done. And so like definitely I'm looking like this mysterious guy to whom like the planet of that's right now ran into might actually not be an actual real game player, but like might be actually an NPC player like that that Ging and his friends might have thought about a lot of their pro level, a certain extent of it, that pro level footprint into creating this like extremely powerful like NPC player might be the case definitely with friends. So like I'm to bring right now itself like I'm bring like me things totally getting more confident even though things can sense like the power from that mysterious like I'm preparing for like the kind of right, I'm so different right now. Things as well as like patient most likely like trying to like fight that that abandonment that like into the guy that he might be like that and people and like them easily getting overthought by that single mysterious guy is like and people that it's like the scenario that I'm also referring and was very and at that point I was wondering shall probably most likely telling as like and at that point I was wondering like the remaining friends of the members getting enraged and them about to like charge it like a charge of at like that mysterious guy to like take it off. But like at that point, I'm the student most likely got to be like shall like be shouting out to them to like stop and don't do not bother like taking on that basically they would only lose. And that way like this like connective ego of that of possessing such great power that like kind of like probably instantly getting crushed by that single figures like uh player who might be like an NPC player, definitely might go to their internship. So like that way, like I'm putting like them deciding to like not proceed for the plan base year, so it's back into like the career and engage and shall probably telling them that basically that he will still find things like so at that point definitely I'm referring like a for to be most likely confirmed for like shall that most likely the Great Island game might definitely be uh, an actual game world in like the real world, an island in like the real world. There are lines of a confirmation kind of like feeling that shall will be getting at that point. And like I'm referring towards like the end of that fight between like the team of like Pink and Satan was like that mistakes guy and maybe by then like Shad would have figured that basically that Steve guy is not an actual player but like an NPC player. Of that that's also like playing just another character. So like Shal still kept like even at that point I'm looking like Shal still sticking to his plan and like only the changes in that plan would be most likely for like Shal telling his like final members to like only that like they should like only focus on that basically obtain even more great, even more powerful, like great number of like collecting even more great powerful like spell cards from by permitting further more with within like the great game and like collect all those like powerful spell cards and basically then for them to like return back to this exact spot and take on this like exact and NPC cap with by attacking with all those like extremely powerful spell cards and at that point then you will definitely be able to like uh, take this like NPC character down if they all fight together with all those like intensely powerful spell cards would be along the lines of the different like maybe shall certainly telling. selling towards like sign up members like that or like the scenario that I'm so like that way like with such a plan like shall and like the financial members like from the operating for like the time being from that location from that NTC character location back to like deep within like back towards like the location of like Masadora like the scenario that I'm looking at. At that point is when I was in Navy that coincidentally it's like at that point like it's okay telling John, this is taking John and Kilua. This is spraying of like John and Kilua, current rain of John and Kilua being followed by them. And this is taking John and Kilua to Macedonia, like the scenario that I'm looking. So like at that point, like things and like the band members who will be already feeling frustrated of like their connection setback from that NTC grade island game player like NTC player like and the bring that with the ego of like I'm saying like pins and pattern and like the middle of the already being in like a frustrated state, but they would be by sheer content who they are running into at the team of that one, Silva and Bisuke. Is like who will be at that who will be at that point not sure totally contrary to what they would be expecting would be like not at all feeling intimidated at all by the presence of like a transfer members like Sona and Silva at that point. It's like saying the scenario that I'm sure you're talking and sitting on the screen. So that actually you know considering the mention that like the original race of cat might actually be like the friend of like king and might be close to like where king would be within like the running game, which might definitely not at all be like and that for those racer might definitely not at all be like the racer that like right now that the things and like the benefit of the right now ran into that racer might definitely be an NPC can create using like the counter agency collective on the powers of like Jing as well as like Jing front the creators of like it might be like the case including major races of them might be like the case definitely not friends. So like so definitely the front like all surrounding like the great island comes from the front or there to be multiple like similar exactly look at like a race of character like this will be all NPC for successfully powerful like NPC player. Definitely much brain that ultimate redemption and sitting into like it might definitely be like the NTV gas of like the optimal razor. And this might be the reason for like this like NTC gas straight away assuming that basically that like chat and teams that things and all of them the random members like basically were trying to like end up into like the reality. That basically for that raise up to like assume that might be most likely due to quickly like an NTC gas and certainly well trained so the claim for like to like the accelerators like transporting of like shell and team like number bring like them that they being able to like make it back into like the real world from like career running it. Yet like so like at that point I was putting like scenario to be like shell like so as well as like very many kind of members like basically waking up on this like percent island uh outside of like career island and they are like I'm like the moment shell will be waking up like shell excitedly calling out but like I'm a friend of the even appearing of showing up at that point, certainly not to understand that definitely like that way like I'm just bring that all the remaining fan code members like all of them checking, calling out the cat, none of their books will be showing up and this new that way like all of their cards and books and everything should have just disappeared exactly just like that. Stephanie went friend. It was like exactly while like Eraser had done that eliminate on command like at that point on the covering that what might have happened might have been like that yes to give them a mention that like all of like the spell cards might only work the things that the realigning game halo might be like the actually affect the situations that we might be the especially for according to my person like the realigning world might be created and set up in such a way that basically none of like the where like all the spell cards only might only work only within like the boundaries of like the realigning and basically realigning world and basically with like the with their thing that was that like player companies like the realigning game take three specific cards to transaction. So the transaction might be such a case that is we only like at that point a player takes it like the word of like Grid Island after like completing like the Grid Island game and collecting all the cards like only at that point like the game might be created in such a way that it will be only at that point that like the player will be able to like transfer like the three items from like the Grid Island game to like back to like the real world. But even at that point, if it's like three spell cards, then like the spell cards won't be would be turning into like normal cards with like that in any sort of like spell toss. Just like 1,000 it's like might be the case with Milan Train version as well as like spell cards those three spell cards are turned into like three items. Like if the spell cards are turned into items and they see like the player completing leaves on like the and then those items would be remaining as like items even in like the real world. Yet like that items from like the real world won't be able to like turn back into like spell cards might be also the case in like from like the real world. It's also definitely might be how like the Greed Island game world might be or set up and how like the card connected to the spell card connected to like the data engine, how it will be working once like it's brought outside of like the Great Island world back to like the real world. Even if it's through of a channel, it's definitely my procedure and engine right now. It's like definitely my prediction right now is that like it might be an extremely advanced version of like the core type net color, which like it is right now featured one I that like race of that had race of had used to like destroy like the ship of like the planet Earth right now. Using the flat team might be like that attack might be an extremely advanced version of like the core power, which like aura through contain aura through like the body is like concentrated to a specific point like in what Razor might out and might have been like the aura through of like Razor's body like might have Razor might have totally transported it and concentrated it solely towards like Razor's arm and this like advanced version of like core attack Razor might have brought out like the concentrated like core aura on the arm outside of like Razor's body and might have sent that core aura attack and sent that core aura that flying straight towards like it landing on the ship and destroying the ship. Might have been what might have actually happened. And might be the advanced version of core might be like a might be which I'm delivering like gone and kill probably eventually like the result like this okay teaching gone and to the probably I think like even this okay might be only having like the knowledge about but like not even this okay might be able to like use that advanced version of code might be like it is definitely not very ambitious because like maybe since upon the preparation this game was like they might be of like a founder and like especially kind of like then I thought that this game might be having such limitation in like achieving and reaching like and attaining like that advanced version of like code and power that like Busuke might not be able to, even though Busuke might have attempted like put in all the hard work like Busuke, it might be something that might be possible to like change or like Busuke might be the case like the possibility that under like so definitely yeah like Busuke teaching like Busuke might be having the knowledge of like how to exactly learn that advanced version of like for net attack and like I'm bringing to the next episode like Busuke teaching that to like Gon and Killua and like Gon as well as Killua being able to like learn that advanced version of that for then type then attack always like usually like the future like through the showcase can like Dawn and Killua that they're being able to like shoot out net aura containing things from their farm. It's like a razor, it's like the invention of this into the future scenario where I'm developing and frame. Yeah, so like definitely might be very interesting right now. So like all of them including like all the remaining movies like them all giving up like their designated card in exchange for their like and I'm like one that we did on like independently for like the like leaders who done like comparing them to like leave and at that point like them off running off and I'm looking like the new at that point like sticking together and I'm looking like by SharePoint like the new things like running into the dope of like on Killua and Kusuke like not that I'm so most likely by the time like the team of like on Killua and Kusuke would make it to Masadora, like maybe at that point, or like along the way as they will be getting close to like reaching Masadora, like maybe uh, at that point, like around that point, like on this point, the like them running into like the new piece and was very like the new piece like when they're relating to like Gon and Killua, telling Gon and Killua and Mitsuke about like how the leaders were like actual villains and they it was all a trap. So like at that point, Gon who already knew as well as Mitsuke as well who might have already as well as like the Killua as well through Gon like Killua as well might have known about it. Definitely my business even back then is definitely my brain. So definitely uh, them not being shocked and like basically at that point I was bring like the newbies like at that point like being shocked and basically at the shocking realization that like they already knew and like kept silent. So like I'm like the newbies at that point maybe like blaming Gon Killua and this is for like especially gone for like remaining silent even while Gon knew of like their the leaders like would be along the lines of the point like the newbies like blaming God. So like at that point, one was like telling them that like it's totally like how they play their game, and so it's like totally fair would be along the lines like one would be talking back to those newbies. So still at that point would be totally desperate to like get revenge on those leaders after like they would them putting in all that hard work and getting first within the card for that to only get tricked and taken away. Like the scenario that I'm referring eventually considering that God would be totally refusing to like help even that point. Considering it's okay at that point like something with like a smile, maybe telling God and Gilwa that basically that they should like go back and basically take them on, take those two leaders on. Would be along the lines, it's okay, would be telling Don and Gilwa and the secret would be telling Don and Gilwa that it would be the perfect training for like Don and Gilwa would be along the line, it's okay with like a smile would be telling on the job. And at that point, like I'm saying, like only at that point, like and Kilua totally agreeing and basically that way flag along with like the newbies like the point that maybe along with like the newbies like them the newbies would be totally comment about like them wanting to go along with like wanting to do and it's okay when they would be getting a revenge for like against like those leaders who tricked them. It's like the scenario that I'm so like that way like Bond and Kilua while Yusuke would be like watching from the sidelines and like gone and figure out they are through their training with their spouse like something like gone and figure out taking off like those two leaders while Yusuke along with like the other movies will be watching like the battle from the sidelines like scenario that I'm saying. And that way like the results of like the brain of like gone and Kilua will be being clearly visible kind of like a scenario what I was trying with like Gona Kilua without much great death or like after like defeating those two leaders like taking away all those like great number of like designated cards in the first year. It's like the scenario that I was correct. So like Kilua at that point would be totally excited about like all of them like them and that huge jump of like all of them gaining so many of like designated cards from those two leads. But like I'm looking at that point, like Gaunt would be totally feeling as like basically not keeping those designated cards, but instead giving it back to like the newbies as well as like Gaunt at that point with like a serious face will be asking the newbies about like where like the remaining of like the people who got tricked by any team leaders are like basically so definitely the newbies by then will be knowing where exactly for remaining people are so like definitely that way like on giving back all those like hardened designated cards of all those other players. So like, after they suddenly defeating those two leaders, it's like in the scenario that I'm probably for I'm and definitely able to like at that point in very confident and with like a smile to be looking at like telling to that like they can like connect like at this point like basically that gone with like their growth sharp and this growth in like strength like confident that basically definitely they would be along with like little training like they would definitely be able to like collect designate cards as well as like free pocket cards and all the cards like on their phone with like as like a team with like Suzuki and Kilo and Gone. Then the along like Gone with like a smile with Italy. Suzuki as well would be only would be agreeing with like a smile like the scenario that I'm that I'm also trying like the scenario that I'm bringing out for ending.